Welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market, where today we're looking at this lovely specimen here. This plant, which some of you may have recognized, its scientific name is Rhododendron species. Now, there isn't a specific epithet here because I don't precisely know which one it is. It could be japonica, it could be one of the other species. I'm betting japonica, but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't had as much time as I would have liked to study this one, mostly because it's blooming and I don't want to mess with it. But anyway, its common name is Azalea, though some of you may also know by its AKA name, Rosebay. That's one I hear less. In fact, I've only seen it on paper, not actually anybody saying it, but I have to include that because. Now anyway, azaleas are in the Ericaceae family, which means that is the blueberry or heather/heath family. Okay? Now, the name rhododendron means rhododendron is from the word rhodon, rose, and dendron, tree. Rose tree, which, yeah, you can totally see that, I'm sure. Especially with these lovely blossoms. Oh, quite lovely. Now, I just want to point out, azaleas are in the rhododendron family, firmly so. However, every azalea is a rhododendron, but not every rhododendron is an azalea. It's sort of like that succulent cacti thing. It's in play here, too. Every cacti is a succulent, but not every succulent is a cacti. There are specific morphological, biological features that say, hey, I'm different, but I'm close enough. Okay? We're going to go over those in a minute. Now, azaleas are native to Asia and the Himalayan region, mostly. But there are some native ones native to other parts of Asia, North America, Europe, and Australia, as evidenced by the Japanese azalea. It wouldn't be called that if it was native to... See where that's going? So, anyway, they prefer a USDA zone of do 4 through 9. The further north you go, they may or may not go full-blown deciduous. These plants can be deciduous or evergreen. There's a little playroom in what they're able to do. The ones here in Zone 80, in this case, are evergreen, essentially. They're kind of green shrubbery most of the year, and then in generally in April, or late March into April, they do this. Full bloomatage. So, there you go. Now, their soil pH preference is 4.5 to 5.5, and that has to be a reasonably moist soil, not wet, and no dense clay or hardpan. They prefer a soil that has a bunch of organic matter and do really well when you... This is not a product tie-in, I'm not sponsored by these people, but when you throw down hollytone or something like that, and a soil acidifier to help fertilize and enrich in the soil. And I prefer that one because it has organic matter added to it. Now, the exposure for these plants is full sun to partial, but it has a preference for partial to get the best structure, bloom, and foliage. So there's that. The one you see here is actually in partial sun. It gets a lot of ambient light, essentially approximating dappled shade. So it's got a good form, good shape. You can't see the branches, but they're very nice and structural inside there. Good plant. Now, beyond that, there's a wide range of sizes for this plant. There is an azalea for every size and space. Dwarf ones can be 2 to 3 feet high with a width of 1 to 2 feet to 2.5 feet. But on average, a lot of the azaleas can range from that size to up to 10 feet with an 8-foot spread. And then, furthermore, it has been recorded that there are certain varieties that can reach up to 20 feet tall, which gives you an idea of how ginormous they must be. I believe that requires special pruning. But then there are also miniature ones that are perfect for bonsai. Micro azaleas. Okay, whatever. So, there's that. Now we move into the hard details that I promised. Evergreen azaleas are in the subgenus, and I'm going to mangle the hell out of this, so warning. Suzuki. Sorry, I practiced and I still can't get that right. If you know how to pronounce that, please put that in the comment section. If I have offended you culturally, I didn't mean it. But anyway, that's spelled Tsutusi. Suzu. Okay, I give up. Anyway, deciduous azaleas are in the Pentathera, which sounds like it ought to be a garden-based heavy metal band, Pentathera, live at the Garden Bench. Now featuring Concrete Obelisk. Okay, anyway, I just had a Du-Hast moment there. So, yeah, moving along from me being easily distracted, azaleas are the state flower of Nepal, Washington State, and West Virginia, which is pretty cool, you know. Um, biologically, I promise this part, biologically, they are differentiated from other rhododendrons by having 5 anthers. Now, those would be the little sex bits in here, in the flowers, and I don't know if you can really see those, but generally 5. There's a lot of bits sticking out of there, but they almost always have 5 petals as well, you know. Now, going further than that, these plants also had prior names. They were previously known as Azalea strum, Biltia, Ledum, and Rhodora, which I still say sounds like it ought to be fighting Godzilla in Tokyo somewhere. But the best part about these flowers is that they will attract hummingbirds and a species of bee called Adrena cornelii. I couldn't find a common name in time for this episode, but apparently it's a specific bee that happens to like Ericaceae stuff, which is really cool. Now, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of ID features for this plant, which is reinforcing that biological thing I just covered. If you have a plant in your landscape that blooms roughly around April, right now it's March while I'm filming this, but it's the end of March, so that makes sense. Blooms roughly in April, has tube or funnel flowers, blooming, tube or funnel flowers, check, check. Has 1 flower per stem, check. Definitely has that. That's the branch, and then there's the individual flower stalks. Has 5 lobes per flower, and as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check. Lobes or petals, if you want to call it that. They're, you know. And 5 stamens, which it looks like they have that there, even though I'm not sure you can see that on the camera. Then it's probably an azalea. But double check with your master gardeners or cooperative extension just to be sure. And there are apps where you can take a photo and turn it in, and it'll probably give you an idea of which one it is, which is probably what I should have done before I did this. Oh well, hey, these things happen. Now, beyond that, I have to give you a serious warning about this plant. All parts of this plant are very poisonous. I know you can't have it all. Additionally, I should point out not only are all poisonous, but bees that harvest the pollen from this and make honey out of it may transfer the poison to you. So I wouldn't have your honeybees ranging any place that's got a whole bunch of these, because there's a 50-50 chance that your honey will be inedible. Now, really? Ah, whatever. Lady's yelling for a cat. The toxins in question are a dromadotoxin and grayan toxin. And again, all parts of the plant have it. The symptoms of poisoning by this are salivation, excessive watering in the eyes and nose, abdominal pain, loss of energy, depression, nausea, vomiting, the walking squirts, weakness. Well, I mean, if I had the squirts, I think I'd be pretty weak too. Difficulty breathing, progressive paralysis starting in the limbs, cardiac failure, and a coma. Oh, isn't that just bless your heart? You got yourself a coma, kid. Anyway, but azaleas are still a wonderful plant to have in the garden despite their risk. They're the epitome of look, but don't ingest. And besides, I'm pretty sure they taste awful. So there's that. I wouldn't put them in a forage class. I really wouldn't. But it's good to know about their poisonous characteristics if you're ever in the wilderness and you're debating whether or not that shrub is edible. So, kind of a win. So, that's all I have for you on basic azaleas in a southeastern climate. By the way, we're Zone 8A. So, if you have any comments, questions, hopefully you can rescue me from that horribly mangled word I used earlier. I would love that. But otherwise, hit up the Forest blog. It's updating regularly now. Um, if you have any comments, if you like this, you have any comments, any thoughts about azaleas, please put them in the comment section. If you like this episode, hit like or subscribe if you haven't. I'm trying to hit 500 this year. We're working on it. And as always, folks, keep them growing, and thanks for watching.